Hello and welcome again. Today we are doing a quick oil change, a coolant flush and a brake bleed which goes wrong on this CLK 320. So if you want to see that, stick around. Alright, 7mm. So we have to get this under tray off. Looks like around here it's a bit wet, so there is a little leak between the gearbox and the engine, unfortunately. Yep, there's a leak somewhere. Well, it looks like it might be the sump gasket's failing, which is a nice easy job if that is the case. Anyway, we've got a sump plug. Let's undo that. No, it's not 12. It is a 13. Wow, this is a really long thread. There we go. Alright, so I think it's 8 quarts or about 7.5 litres. So it does take a lot of oil, this thing. That looks milky. Luckily it's just a little bit of condensation on the top of the cap. This oil filter chain remover makes most filters easy pickings. You hear that? I let some pressure out of the cartridge here, and loads of oil is now coming out. Of the sump plug at the bottom. It does say 25 Newton meters of torque, but as I don't have the right tool, I'm going to do hand tight and a little bit. Okay. Clean this off. Now reinsert the sump plug. Castrol GTX, it's 10 by 40, okay. I think 5 by 40 is what I really needed for this. But considering it pretty much stays in the garage, comes out sometimes in the summer, I think a slightly thicker winter oil isn't a bad thing for this. It'll be slightly more viscous when it's cold, which would be an issue if we were in a colder climate, but it's England and it comes out in the summer. It's just a nice ambient temperature almost all the time. 10W40 is going to be fine instead of the 5W40. And to be honest, this was on promotion, so I got 2 for 40 quid pretty much. So and it's a brand name instead of getting something else for the Halford special. I mean, pouring oil in an engine must be the quickest way to spend, you know, it could be like a 40 quid bottle. So that was £40 worth of excitement in less than a minute. I mean, there's not many things you do that way, right? Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but we are almost there. We're 3/4, so I'm going to put a tiny bit more in, wait for that last reading, and we'll get onto the air filter. Alright, this looks simple enough. There are some clips. There's no need, like, you can just move this aside. And there it is. Not particularly dirty, but still worth a change. Bosch to Crossland. See a difference though? Not really. Nice to get some of this dirt out. Okay, for the coolant, all you really need is a big screwdriver, and it's again under that tray section, and you see this, you just undo that, and drippy, and undo it a bit more. Oh, there you go. And then to really get the flow, top of the coolant cap. There we go. It's really going now. And now we just have to wait. And then we'll get onto refilling and bleeding. Alright, so it is 9.6 litres of coolant. Now what we want is this on full heat with the fan running so the heater matrix opens up. Then we can put some more in. That's opened up the heater matrix, so now there's a little bit more room to fill up. Right, time to start the car, get the fluid moving around. Alright, I've topped the last little bit up when the engine was running for a little bit. Now I'm going to close the cap. And we need to get it up to temperature to let the thermostat open. That'll let out any more bubbles, and we'll let it cool down, check and refill this up. We should be good. Waiting for the thermostat to open. It'll open shortly. Let it idle like that, and then we'll let it cool down, and then we'll just top up any fluid that it needs. Alright, so it's cooled down, taken the cap off, and it needs some fluid but not much. Now for a more in-depth video on how to bleed, this is a very similar principle on this box to add nearly every other car of this era anyway, so please click here. So here's where things go a little wrong. Balls. Yes, that is a new caliper. Now, as I was bleeding the brakes, I didn't feel much of it because it was frustrating. I'll show you. The bleed nipple, which is where you bleed it from. The old one in the old caliper snapped. Here's one I made earlier. Yeah, so this is the other half. So that, imagine that was in there like that. I went to turn it and it just snapped really easily, unfortunately. And so I've got half of it still stuck in there. Now I drilled a small hole, a metal drill bit, and then I tried to use easy outs of various sizes. I kept going up and up until I got to the biggest easy out I could without touching the sides. And an easy out is just a counterclockwise thread. So when you turn it to the left, it unthreads the stubborn bolt. And they do work, but this one was so jammed in there I couldn't even I went up to the biggest size and the easy out was going to snap before that thing came out. So the bottom line was recondition unit was needed. Couldn't get the bleed nipple out, and there was a part exchange thing from Euros which I took because I could get it next day. £88, not the worst. Otherwise, removing and installing the caliper on the rear of the CLK is simple. There's two 14mm bolts and a 10mm on the brake line itself. Here I'm just threading it back on, the brake line back on. I recommend when taking the brake line off to have dedicated brake line spanners, just because they can be stubborn and they can round, then you come into issues. Brake line spanners have more purchase than a regular spanner, so more likely that you'll get it off in one go. There we go. 2 bolts at the back. And there we have it, new oil, new coolant, did a brake flush, and we have a new caliper now. Thanks for watching, see you again next time.